Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're getting into a story that's just foundational, really. It's about grit, fate, and maybe a bit of divine meddling. We're zeroing in on Odysseus's escape that incredibly tough journey off Calypso's island, Ogygia, and his, well, frankly desperate fight to make it to Scheria.
Yeah, and we're diving straight into the ancient text for this. It's packed with detail. Just lets us really get into the weeds of this iconic part of his story, from Olympos down to the stormy sea.
Absolutely. And our goal here is to pull out the key moments, the surprising bits, the real human struggle, and divine struggle too, let's be honest, that still hits home today. Think of it as your guide to understanding this crucial chapter. Okay, so let's set the scene. We start way up high on Mount Olympos. Dawn's breaking, the gods are gathered, Zeus is holding court.
Right?
And Athena steps up. She's always been Odysseus' champion, hasn't she?
Yeah.
She gives this really moving speech about how much he's suffering on Calypso's island, stuck there.
Held captive, yeah.
And she points out the danger back home, too. His son, Telemachus, is being hunted by suitors while he's out looking for news of his dad.
It's a critical moment.
Yeah.
She's really making the case, highlighting that even a hero like Odysseus needs, well, divine backup sometimes.
Right.
He's not entirely master of his own fate here.
So how does Zeus react? Is he swayed?
Oh, immediately. Zeus basically says, yeah, this was always the plan, more or less.
Right.
He turns right to Hermes, the messenger god, and says, okay, Odysseus has to go home. Now, but what's really interesting is how he has to go. Zeus is very specific. No fancy escort, no divine ship.
Right, just him.
Just him alone on a raft he has to build himself. He's got to suffer, Zeus says. But there's a prophecy laid out, too.
Okay.
Zeus says on the 20th day, he'll land on Scheria, the land of the Phaeacians, who are, almost godlike themselves. They'll treat him like royalty, give him a ship home, and load him up with treasures. More treasure, actually, than he ever got from Troy.
Wow, so it's like you have to earn this the hard way, but there is a reward. It really doubles down on his self-reliance, doesn't it? It strips away all the support.
Exactly. It's a theme we see again and again. So Hermes gets his orders.
And off he goes. Tell us about that journey. The divine travel aspect is always fascinating.
It really is. He puts on those famous golden sandals, the immortal ones. They let him just zip across land and sea, fast as the wind.
Like something out of a superhero story.
Pretty much. And he's got his staff, the one that can, put people to sleep or wake them up. He flies from Pieria, shoots across the sea like a seabird, a sheer water, dipping down to the waves. It's effortless, godlike speed.
Such a contrast to the struggle Odysseus is about to face. So Hermes arrives on Ogygia. What's it like?
It's stunning.
Uh-huh.
But kind of. Unsettlingly perfect. He finds Calypso in her cave, this huge fire burning, and the smell of cedar and sweetwood filling the air.
Cool.
And she's there, singing, weaving on her loom with a golden shuttle. Outside, it's this incredibly lush grove, alder, poplar, cypress trees, birds nesting everywhere, owls, hawks, sea ravens.
Wow.
There's a grapevine loaded with fruit over the cave entrance, and 4 fountains sparkling, meadows full of violets and parsley. The text even says, a god arriving there would just stop and stare. It's that beautiful. A real paradise.
A paradise. But where's Odysseus in all this? Is he enjoying the divine spa treatment?
That's the kicker. No. Hermes finds him outside, sitting on the beach, just crying, looking out at the empty sea, completely heartbroken, breaking his heart in tears, lamentation, and sorrow, the text says.
So amidst all that beauty, he's just miserable. And that contrast says everything, doesn't it? Trapped in paradise because it's not his paradise.
Exactly. It perfectly sets up the conversation that follows. Hermes goes in, Calypso offers him nectar and ambrosia, the usual divine hospitality, but then Hermes gets straight to the point.
Laying down the law.
Pretty much. He tells her Zeus's command. Odysseus has suffered enough. It's his fate to see his home and family again, and she must send him on his way. Pronto. And he adds that, nobody, no god, can thwart Zeus's will.
How does Calypso take that? I imagine she's not thrilled.
Not thrilled is an understatement. She literally shudders. And then she lets loose this bitter complaint, basically saying, you male gods are all alike. So jealous.
Oh, jealous of what?
Jealous whenever a goddess takes a mortal lover. She brings up examples, Dawn and Orion, how Artemis shot him, Demeter and Aeation, how Zeus zapped him with a thunderbolt.
So there's a history here. Olympian politics and double standards even.
Totally. And she makes it personal. She says, I saved him when his ship was smashed. I loved him, cherished him. I even planned to make him immortal.
She wanted to make him immortal. Wow.
Yeah. But despite all her anger and her feelings for him, she knows she can't fight Zeus. She says, fine, if Zeus commands it, he can go.
But there's a catch, right? She won't just hand him a boat.
Right. She says, look, if he wants to go, fine. But I don't have ships or a crew to give him. I'll give him advice, tell him everything I know to help him survive. But the getting there, that's on him.
Interesting. So she yields, but still holds back a bit. What happens when she tells Odysseus? Is he overjoyed?
You'd think so, but no. Odysseus, the long-suffering great Odysseus, he shudders too when he hears her offer. He's immediately suspicious.
Suspicious. Why? She's offering to let him go home.
Because after everything he's been through, he thinks it's a trap. He basically says, you, a goddess, telling me to cross the huge, dangerous sea on a raft, you must be planning something else awful for me.
Okay. Years of hardship have made him cautious.
Extremely cautious. He refuses point blank to get on any raft unless she swears a massive oath, the biggest oath there is for the god swearing on earth, heaven, and the river Styx, that she's not plotting against him.
Wow, the oath of the Styx, he's not messing around. That tells you so much about his mindset. Trust no one.
Absolutely. And how does Calypso react to that?
Does she get angry again?
Surprisingly, no. The text says she actually smiles, strokes his hand, and calls him mischievous or naughty for being so suspicious.
Oh, okay.
She swears the oath right then and there, assuring him her intentions are good, that she's thinking for him just like she would for herself because her heart isn't made of iron, it's compassionate.
That's a shift. Shows a different side to her, maybe. More complex than just the captor.
Definitely. So, oath sworn, they go back inside and eat. But it's, mortal food for him, nectar and ambrosia for her. Still that divide.
And then, does she try one last time to convince him to stay?
She does. After dinner, she asks him straight up, are you really that desperate to go back home to your fatherland?
Laying it on thick.
Oh, yeah. She says, if you really knew all the suffering waiting for you before you get home, you'd stay here with me, be master of this house, be immortal.
The immortality card again?
And then she plays the comparison game. Surely, she says, I'm not inferior to your Penelope in looks or stature. I mean, how can a mortal woman possibly compete with a goddess's beauty?
Oof, that's a direct challenge. How does Odysseus handle that?
Masterfully. Odysseus, ever the diplomat, acknowledges her beauty. He says, Goddess, don't be angry. I know Penelope isn't as stunning or tall as you. She's mortal. You're immortal and ageless. I get it.
Smooth.
But then he hits her with the core truth. Even so, what I want, what I pine for every single day is to go home, to see my homecoming day.
Wow.
And he says he's ready for whatever's next. If a god smashes me out on the sea, I'll endure it. I've got a stubborn spirit. I've suffered so much already on the waves in battle. Let this next trial come. I can take it.
Chills. That is just the ultimate statement of loyalty to home, to his mortal life, right? Choosing struggle and purpose over immortal comfort.
Exactly. It's a profound moment. And with that, the decision is final.
So the next day, it's time to build the raft.
Yep. Calypso gets practical. She gives him this big bronze axe, double-bladed, fits perfectly in his hands, nice olive wood handle, and a polished adze too. Then she leads him to a part of the island where the perfect trees are tall, seasoned, dry timber like alder, poplar, fir, ready to float.
And Odysseus just gets to work. He must be pretty handy.
Handy's an understatement. He fells 20 trees, trims them, planes them smooth, uses a chalk line to get them perfectly straight. Calypso brings him tools, like an auger, and he drills holes, fits the timbers together with pegs, and lashes everything tight with cords.
So it's proper construction.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
The text compares the base size to the bottom of a wide cargo ship. He builds up sides, puts in ribs, adds decking, a mast, a steering oar. He even weaves these flexible barriers, wattles, to try and keep the waves out. Serious engineering.
Incredible. Especially after years of, well, not doing much building on Ogyria, presumably. How long does this take him?
Just 4 days. He finishes the whole thing on the 4th day.
4 days. Okay. He hasn't lost his touch. And then
Then on the 5th day, Calypso sends him off. She gives him a bath, dresses him in fragrant clothes, loads the raft with provisions, wine in one goatskin, water in a bigger one, plenty of food. And crucially, she calls up a gentle, favorable wind for him.
That's actually quite generous, considering.
It is. So Odysseus, thrilled with the wind, raises his sail. He sits and steers, navigating by the stars, the Pleiades, Bootes, and the bear, the Big Dipper. Calypso told him to keep the bear on his left.
Smart navigation. And he sails like that for
17 days. 17 days sailing smoothly across the open sea.
Okay, things are looking up. He must be feeling hopeful.
He must be. And then on the 18th day, land. He sees the shadowy mountains of the Phaeacian coast. Looks like a shield lying on the misty water, the text says.
Finally. But I have a feeling this isn't the end of the trouble, is it?
Not even close.
Mm.
Because just then, Poseidon, the Earthshaker, happens to be returning from a trip to visit the Ethiopians.
Mm.
And from miles away, he spots Odysseus on his little raft.
Oh no, bad timing.
The worst. Poseidon sees him and immediately realizes the other gods must have changed their minds about Odysseus while he was gone. And he is furious. The text says he was the more angered.
So, just when Odysseus thinks he's safe, a vengeful god notices him. Is he ever truly free from their interference?
It really feels like he's just a pawn sometimes, doesn't it? Poseidon shakes his head and mutters, "All right, I'll give him his fill of trouble now."
What does he do?
He gathers the clouds, grabs his trident, stirs up the sea, and unleashes all the winds at once. East, south, west, north, they all collide, creating this monstrous storm. Night falls instantly. The sea goes wild.
Terrifying. How does Odysseus react? Does his stubborn spirit hold?
Initially, panic, pure human fear. His knees buckle, his heart sinks. He cries out, "Oh, unhappy me. Is this it? Was Calypso right about all the suffering? He wishes he died gloriously at Troy instead of facing this dismal death alone at sea."
Completely understandable. He's not a god. He feels the terror.
Absolutely. And the storm hits the raft full force. A massive wave crashes down, spins the raft around, throws Odysseus clear overboard.
Oh, God.
The oars rip from his hands. A huge gust snaps the mast in half. Sail and rigging go flying into the water. He's dragged under, weighed down by the clothes Calypso gave him. Takes him ages to surface, choking on salt water.
He does surface.
He does. And even then, gasping, spitting brine, his first instinct is survival. He doesn't forget the raft. He swims for it, grabs hold, and climbs back on, huddling in the middle as it gets tossed around like thistledown in the wind, the text says, utter chaos.
Just clinging on for dear life. Is there any help coming?
There is. Another divine intervention, but a different kind. I know, also called Leucothea. She used to be mortal, now she's a sea goddess. She sees him, feels sorry for him.
Okay, some pity.
Yeah. She appears in the form of a seabird, a gannet, lands on the raft and speaks to him, tells him to take off his heavy clothes, leave the raft, and swim for it. Swim towards the Phaeacian shore, where, she says, he's fated to escape.
Swim in that storm.
And she gives him something crucial, her veil, an immortal veil. She tells him to tie it around his chest, and it will protect him from drowning. Just throw it back in the sea without looking once he reaches land.
An actual lifeline. Does he grab it immediately?
Well, this is Odysseus we're talking about.
Yeah.
Even now, he hesitates. He thinks, uh-oh, is this another trick? Another god trying to mess with me?
Ever the skeptic, even when offered a magic veil in a hurricane.
Right. His practicality kicks in. He sees the shore still really far off.
Yeah.
So he decides, okay, I'll stick with the raft as long as it holds together. If it breaks up, then I'll swim. He uses the divine aid, but on his own terms, adapting it to his own judgment. It's classic Odysseus.
Smart. Always thinking, even in chaos. But does the raft hold?
Sadly, no.
Mm.
Poseidon isn't quite finished. He sends one last monster wave, described as terrible and rough, that just smashes down on the raft and scatters the timbers like dry chaff flying from a threshing floor.
Oh man, so it's gone.
Completely gone. Odysseus manages to grab onto one single beam, riding it like a horse for a moment. Then finally, he does what Ino said, strips off Calypso's waterlogged clothes, ties the veil around his chest, and dives headfirst into the raging sea, swimming for his life.
He committed. He's swimming. Does Poseidon see this?
He does. He sees Odysseus swimming and gives one last, almost contemptuous parting shot. He basically says, there you go then. Suffer out there until you maybe reach those God-favored people. But don't say I didn't give you your fair share of hardship.
Cold. And then he leaves.
Then he leaves, turns his chariot, and heads back to his underwater palace. Finally.
Phew. Okay, Poseidon's gone. Is Odysseus just left to the waves now?
Not quite. Now Athena steps back in. Quietly, subtly. Once Poseidon's out of the picture, she calms down all the other winds, tells them to go to sleep. But she keeps the north wind blowing, a helpful wind this time, to push Odysseus towards Scheria.
Athena, always looking out for him when she can.
But even with her help, it's still brutal. He's adrift for another 2 nights and 2 days, tossed on the waves, constantly thinking he's about to die. The divine help eases things, but the human ordeal is still immense.
2 more days and nights. Unimaginable. What happens on the 3rd morning?
Finally, dawn arrives, the storm dies down, the wind drops. He's lifted up on a big wave, takes a look around, and sees land. Really close this time.
Oh, the relief.
The text uses this incredibly moving simile. It says the sight of land was as welcome to him as seeing life return to a sick father as to his children, a father who's been wasting away in pain, but then the gods finally cure him. It really captures that feeling of hope against hope.
That's beautiful. So he's made it. Just swim ashore.
If only it were that easy. As he gets closer, he hears the sound of waves crashing violently against jagged rocks. There are no harbors, no safe places to land, just sharp cliffs and reefs.
Oh, come on. Another obstacle.
Yep. His knees go weak with fear again. He thinks, if I try to climb out here, I'll be smashed against the rocks. If I stay in the water, maybe a whirlpool or even a sea monster sent by Poseidon will get me. There's just no easy way in. Yeah, is salvation ever simple for this guy?
Apparently not. How does he solve this one?
Well, a huge wave surges and throws him right against the cliff face. He would have been scraped off, bones crushed, the text says, if Athena hadn't given him a sudden idea, cling on.
Just hold on.
He grabs the rock with both hands, groaning as the wave washes over him. He holds on, but when the wave recedes, the force rips his hands away, tearing the skin off his palms. There's this really graphic simile.
Oh, yeah.
That says his skin stuck to the rocks like the pebbles that stick in the suckers of an octopus when you drag it out of its den.
Oof, visceral. Okay, so clinging isn't sustainable. What next?
He gets clear of the immediate rocks and starts swimming along the coastline, desperately looking for a better spot, maybe a sloping beach or a sheltered cove. And eventually he finds it. The mouth of a river, flowing sweetly into the sea. It looks calmer there, no rocks and sheltered from the wind.
Thank goodness. A possible safe haven.
He recognizes it as his best chance. And he prays. He prays directly to the river god, whoever it might be.
What does he say?
He says, "Hear me, Lord, whoever you are. I desperately need your help. I'm a fugitive from the sea, from Poseidon's curse. Even you gods are supposed to show mercy to wanderers like me." It's a direct appeal for sanctuary.
Does the river god listen?
Instantly. The river checks its current, calms the waves at its mouth, makes everything smooth for him. He's able to swim into the river's gentle flow and finally reach the bank.
He's on land. He's actually on solid ground.
He is. But he's utterly spent. He collapses. His heart is sick from swallowing seawater. His whole body is swollen. His mouth and nose are crusted with salt. He just lies there, breathless, speechless, completely wiped out. The text says he was faint, and a terrible exhaustion subdued him.
Just total physical collapse. I can barely imagine. What does he do when he can move again?
Well, first he remembers Ino's instructions. He carefully unties the immortal veil from his chest and lets it drift back down the river towards the sea, where Ino herself receives it back. He obeys the divine instructions.
Then, shelter.
Right. He kisses the earth, then staggers away from the riverbank. He faces a new problem: where to spend the night. Down by the river, he risks getting soaked by dew and chilled by the wind. But if he goes up into the woods, he might run into wild animals.
Always another dilemma.
He thinks it through and decides the woods are the lesser risk. He finds this perfect spot. 2 bushy trees, one a wild olive, one another shrub, grown so close together they form a natural shelter, impenetrable to wind, sun, or rain.
Nature providing.
Exactly. Underneath, there's a huge pile of fallen leaves. He gathers up even more, making a thick, wide bed, big enough for 2 or 3 people, the text says, even in winter, showing his foresight again.
Always practical.
And then he crawls into the leaves, burying himself completely. There's one last beautiful simile here.
One?
It says he covers himself like a man on a remote farm, buries a smoldering log deep in ashes to keep the spark alive overnight, saves the seed of fire. It's like he's preserving his own spark of life.
That's perfect. A seed of fire waiting for the morning.
And then finally, Athena steps in one last time. She pours sleep down onto his eyes, a deep, healing sleep, to finally give him rest, to release him from the exhaustion of all his hard labor.
He absolutely earned that sleep.
Yeah.
Wow, what a sequence. So just to recap this incredible leg of the journey, we went from a divine command on Olympus, saw Odysseus build this amazing raft through sheer skill, survive 17 days of sailing, only to face Poseidon's absolute fury.
Right, that terrifying storm, the raft destroyed, clinging to a beam.
Getting help from Ino, but still having to use his own wits, nearly getting smashed on the rocks, praying to a river god.
And finally collapsing, finding that tiny bit of shelter and just, well, passing out from exhaustion. It's an absolute masterclass in perseverance.
It really is. So, thinking about this deep dive, what does it really tell us, maybe tell you listening, about facing just overwhelming challenges?
Well, a few things stand out, don't they? Like trusting your gut, maybe. Even when divine aid is offered, like with Ino's veil, Odysseus didn't just jump blindly. He assessed, he waited, he used it when he decided it was time. That mix of faith and practical caution is key.
Yeah, that's a great point.
And maybe most powerfully, it's about having that clear goal. For Odysseus, it's always home. That single-minded focus, that stubborn spirit he talks about, that's what seems to pull him through suffering that would break almost anyone else. The power of knowing what you're fighting for.
Definitely. And it leaves you with this fascinating tension, doesn't it? Odysseus' whole journey here feels like this constant push and pull between the gods interfering, helping, and hindering, and his own incredible resourcefulness, his endurance, his sheer will to survive and get home.
It really does.
So here's something to think about. How much of his fate is actually shaped by the gods? And how much does his own relentless determination carve his path through all that chaos? Is he destiny's puppet, or does his will make the difference? Something to mull over.